Sup guys, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel's Pack Fresh podcast. And we are joined by
ElusiveCollectables,
Sketchcardhive.
Why did you and I?
All right, and this is episode number 2. I hope you enjoyed the previous episode. We're having a complete blast here. So what's top of mind for you guys? I'm going to go first if you don't mind. So I've been really looking into 1994 Fleer Ultra X-Men. And
whoa.
Yeah. And I've been looking at this, like what's popping, checklist, everything. And do you know what I'm really interested in? Is the whole oversized X-Over cards. And I'm sure you probably know more than me. Like I'm fairly new to it, but I don't know, man. I'm loving them. I'm loving the look of the cards.
Those are pretty. I have to see what they look like again to be reminded. The 94 X-Men set, that's hardcore, man. That's a gorgeous looking set. Gorgeous looking set.
No one's looking at it at the moment, that's for sure.
Well,
I mean, those have buybacks, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
100%.
From the is it the 18 X-Men metal?
Yeah, it's the Ultra X-Men 2018. Yeah. Should be 2018 because I think Spider-Man was 2017 from what I remember.
Those are numbered to 50, right? I believe the 2018
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right. They're nice, man. They got that nice oversized X on them. They're just
like
so
the
clean.
X. I love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab my favorite card. One second.
Oh,
yeah.
here we go.
There's some really good art in that set. Actually, it's like it's impressive. Like it kind of has like the '93 Marvel Master. Baby.
I was able to lock down that buyback.
Really?
Oh, is that the one you have? That's right.
You are.
That's
smooth.
a sick.
Trying to be, man. I'm a smooth criminal.
What number is it?
I'm not sure. Still getting ready to get shipped at ComC. You know that could take 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh,
By the way, if I get a tattoo, this is probably going to be it.
That's one of their cleaner cards for sure, man.
It's a
Especially
beautiful
with
card, man.
Wolverine and Spider-Man.
I mean, it's got Wolverine and Spider-Man kind of the way I like both of them. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
You just don't see that
100%,
anymore.
Yeah, that's almost like the equivalent as like in the sports side of Michael Jordan and Kobe being on the same card.
Yeah, baby. I love that. I love that.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Very good point.
Hey,
that's
so question though. Which one's Jordan, which one's Kobe?
Obviously, that's a good question. Yeah. I mean, based on popularity, we're gonna have to say Spidey is Jordan and Wolverine is Kobe. Yeah.
That's the correct answer, says Spidey09.
Yeah, right.
That's the one.
Well, so Kobe's my favorite player in the NBA.
Is he?
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Mainly because of timing. You know, but Jordan is the GOAT, Spidey's the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a clean match. But you know what? It's funny, man. Like when I think of like, it's weird because you don't really see those team up cards anymore, do you? Like if you look at modern Marvel cards, I don't know if there's really team up cards like that anymore. You know what I mean? Like I remember like seeing Hulk and Wolverine next to each other, you know, like that classic cover where they're in the tuxedos or whatever. Like that's a really cool one. And I always love all the team ups, man. I think, man, I haven't seen a good iteration of team up inserts in a while. I've seen versus ones, but I wonder if there's any more modern variations. I'm sure there are. I'm just not thinking about them. That's kind of cool.
You're the man who knows.
No. I can't remember. I'm not sure.
Love
but
it.
Yeah.
Elusive, what's top of mind for you?
Honestly, Wolverine, since we're on the subject, I've been looking at a lot of Wolverine old promos. I was able to pick up a Hardy's promo, 9.5 BGS. So that's, in other words, depending on what state you're in, Hardy's is Carl's Jr., right? I was able to pick that card up. And then I was able to just pick up a 2013 Greatest Battles, I believe, by Rittenhouse. The gold cover for Wolverine in a BGS 9.5.
Is that 70? That's out of 75, right?
No, you're thinking about the
Greatest Battles.
Like the Greatest Battles. That's from the set, but the gold cover is just the single character.
Oh, that's nice.
They remind me kind of like the suspended animation cards. You know what I mean?
Oh,
there we go.
as well, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big
Those
fan
are
of
great.
So I've just been looking into anything Wolverine, Spider-Man, Venom, you know, my top 5, and looking into older promos and seeing if I could either, you know, get it raw mint, whatever that means for sellers, right? But if I could get my holds on in a 9.5 or 10, you get so much value in a 9.5, but that's another conversation.
I think that is the next conversation, definitely, because I'm interested to always talk about like grades and numbers, and all of us have been thinking about that kind of stuff too. With Gingie's video recently, like with graded 96 and so forth. But yeah, that's interesting. I actually really love that, and I've been thinking a lot about promos too. Funny enough.
Here's one, by the way. Here's a Ziploc.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, that looks so good.
That's
pretty,
cool.
yeah.
That's dope.
You got me with Wolverine and Spidey on the same card.
Yeah. There's like
there's not many of those.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3, maybe 4 of them, where you got Jordan and Kobe on it.
We got to get dual autos now, and we're good.
Sorry, for the newbie here, from what year is that?
Let me check that for you. That is from 1995.
Just write that down.
There's Crunch. There's I remember, oh man, on the back of comic books when I was a kid, they had on the back of the Crunch. Remember the Crunch promo cards that came in like the oh god, what kind?
No, I've seen them on eBay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
you know what I mean, right? It was like a Crunch thing or whatever. It was like a food product, and you get a card in like a clear pack or whatever. Man, they look so good. Like when you find them on eBay, they're kind of hard to find. But I always wanted them to be a surfer. And I remember being a kid looking at the back of the cover. I was like, man, is that blue one like third back in the hand of that collector guy? Is that like a Silver Surfer? I don't know where the checklist is. For the longest time, but that's a really cool promo set too, man. That's a really good one. A lot of good hidden promos.
Wizards, people slip up on those. Wizards, the bi-weeklies, right? Those are nice as well. Yeah,
those are really nice. Well, you also have it's actually really special ones. So 1992 Marvel Masterpiece has the ones with the prototype on the back, right? So you have that stamp. You have the 1990 Marvel Universe ones that have the copyright information that's changed, right? Which are super rare that people don't know existed. Those were given out before the set was even released. There's like 20 of them without the diamond on the back. There's some really awesome promos out there. Really, really good stuff. And food products and all this other weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a Silver Surfer from the Purdue chicken factory. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I have to get it and show you guys. But yeah, it's a weird card. But yeah,
it's a nice card. I have it as well. I was able to pick it up. But yeah, I mean, those cards, like to your point, finding the mint is tough. You know
who did the art for that one?
No,
Julie Bell.
Oh,
serious?
Dead serious. It's her art. She had the piece for sale. $10K. It's massive. It is the size. It is like, I'm 6'4". It's not taller than me, but it's like 3/4 of me. It's massive. Like it's a tall piece, and it's all surfer. And that's what they used to print on that, as well as the wallet cards, which are my second favorite, like weird kind of things, like the Marvel comic book wallet cards. You guys remember those? I'll have to show you.
Here's an example of what Norton's talking about. Here's the Wolverine.
There it is.
Nice.
Yeah, that one's
BGS, nice.
Yeah, again, on these kind of rare stuff, I'm willing to go down to a BGS 9. I think that's like my floor for most collectibles is a BGS 9. You know, because they say PSA 9s are quote unquote stronger, and I think it depends on the card. I've seen some cards that are stronger with PSA and some that are stronger with BGS. But yeah, if you could get just mint copy, that's good.
Yeah, I remember certain green Spidey that sold for a lot. There was a BGS 9. It did all right.
It did all right.
Well, they do say buy the card, not the grade, right? So
That person
you forgot to mention that green is out of 10.
Yeah, beautiful, man. Promos are hard to grade too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spidey G, what's top of mind for you?
Oh wait, no, Sketch. You got to get Sketch.
Well, sorry, did I miss you?
Oh yes, no. Oh gosh, what's on my mind? Okay. Random thing on my mind. Printing plates is the last thing I was thinking about, and then I'm really just looking at like, gosh, what I want to spend my money on. It's really gone. Like I'm at like right now, I'm kind of like I have a little bit of a card fund, so I was able to sell some stuff, and I've seen multiple things that I was like, oh man, should I get that? Like I was looking at some printing plates on eBay that are ridiculously stupid cheap of like Spider-Man. Like there's a full rainbow of Spider-Man from 2015 Fleer Retro. And it's like $200-300 or something for the full rainbow. Wow. It's like stupid low. I'll show you. It's stupid low. And I was just like, man, but do I want to like put money in that? Because then like, is it just going to be up for trade or is it going to be sitting in my briefcase? Like I've been recently just trying to figure out what I want to go in on, because at this stage with the Surfer collection, I'm kind of like, the only thing is will always be a pickup for the Surfer collection is just going to be printing plates of Surfer. Like whatever I find, I'm just going to pick up no matter what.
You're really good at that, man.
I'm sorry, mate. I haven't seen your video yet. Like what? I'm hoping this will provide some value for people listening. But like, why printing plates? Like, what about it makes it so special?
So really quickly, so this is something I've been thinking about a lot, actually. And printing plates for me in the future won't exist, because printing is going to change naturally and it's going to become cheaper, less material. So printing plates eventually will just be like a relic, right? It will be completely out, will no longer be a part of the kind of like card hobby type of thing. Something will replace it, but they won't exist anymore. And I think, it'll move towards that. But also, like if you're a character collector, like think about it, right? Let's say there are technically, there can only be 4 character collectors for every character. For each one to have a master character collection, they have to have a plate of their character from every set that had a plate in it. And only 4 people can do that.
And you say that because there's generally only 4 plates that are available.
Always.
Yeah. And also, disclaimer, that's only if you're at the level of sketch card, by the way, guys. You don't have to do that.
Out of here.
But if you're at that level.
No, but I guess like I just been thinking about that lately, and only because like there was a recent poll like in the MCCW group on Facebook, and people were like, plates are not that important. They're kind of ugly, blah, who wants them, blah, blah. And there was only like 46 people who thought they were important and 84 that were like, nah, this ain't worth picking up. It's too hard, too difficult to get. It's a 1 of 1. They're kind of ugly. There's eyesore and stuff like that. I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I think they're way more important than people understand in terms of like what the future will be, right? Like, how do you not have a piece of the production of your card not be important to your collection? Not that people have to collect the same way I collect. That's it. That's the only thing I've been thinking about. That's me going on and on in my video, talking a whole lot of crap for like 6 minutes.
Yeah, those printing plates, man. I mean, you're really good at that. I mean, to your point, when you started talking about whether you want to get into printing plates, you're very disciplined about what you purchase in the hobby, and you're very mindful. And I think that's only anybody that's watching should definitely take away from this, is that take your time whenever you're acquiring anything, and Sketchcardhive is, I would say, I mean, all of us try to practice that, but I think you actively, I've known, because we've chatted, I messaged you, hey, I'm looking at this. You want to get this? And you're like, no, because I don't know if X, Y, or Z. Yeah. So you always have that in the back of your mind. Now, as far as the printing plates go, I think it's a niche. I think it's a niche within the collector's market, which is awesome. And another thing you're really great at is you're really drawn to the significance of pieces. You know what I mean? So, hence why you're giving us the backstory. It's, you're going to be having a piece of production. It's naturally a 1 of 1, depending on the color you're getting, right? So I don't know. That's my thoughts behind it. Again, I'm not into them. I don't have anything against them. But yeah, it's just not something I collect. And, to your point as well, I don't want to open that rabbit hole.
No, you have to pick and choose, man. It is so not worth it to do certain things. It really isn't. Like just the conversation we were having, like there's certain roads that you have to look down and have to be like, I know as a collector, once I take this fork in the road, it's over. And that's happened to me, right? I've compromised what I would pay for a card once I went down the PMG route. And I was like, it's okay. You don't have to have the green, consoling myself. And then when it finally came up, I was like, okay, once I do this, and this have to drop. Just because at that point, there's no end. I mean, for me, and some people just collect and go and just go. I just always see a lot of collectors offloading.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to offload sometimes. It can be really tricky. Like really, you have to know enough people to push things off on other people and push things off on other people. That sounds harsh, but
that's what it is, right? Let's call
that's what it is.
Reality,
I mean, essentially, yeah. You know, you're basically like, hey, I'm not going to collect this anymore, but you might.
Sketch card, that's what it is right now.
Yeah.
There's a potential future.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm not trying to get you to offload. I'm trying to take it.
Yeah. Thank you for putting it up for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's true.
I completely agree. I've also seen in like my kind of few years of collecting, WWF, WWE, like printing plates. That's a big thing. Again, it's a bit of a niche or whatever you want to call it over in America. There.
Are you talking about wrestling?
Wrestling
is how you pronounce
niche.
it. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, there's definitely scope there in the future for sure. Like everything changes, doesn't it? We've talked about this before. People go through phases of liking things, but yeah, I definitely think there's some serious scope there, and I look at it as in terms of investment for sure.
Well, to me, what printing plates have is rarity.
Yeah,
they're going to hold condition for the most part because they're printing plates. And when you got the character aspect of it, and then you have the aspect of the fact that if you want to have even the resemblance of a master set for a character and or the set itself, you have people that want to buy it. So I think you're always going to have some demand there.
Yeah. And to Gingie's point too, yeah, like you were mentioning, I just froze there for a second. We're talking about the printing plates. Oh yeah, that all of us, and the reality of it is none of us really know what's going to stick 5 years, 10 years down the road. We're just collecting what we like, and obviously, just hoping that whatever we are collecting retains its value. A lot of times collectors, I don't think, it depends on what you're in it for, right? But assuming you're a hardcore collector, you're not hoping that your stuff doubles and triples in value as much as you're hoping that it just retains what you paid for it.
Well, what I would like for people to think about in this kind of stuff, we're talking about printing plates right now, is like if you wanted to buy land, waterfront property is really what you want because you have an anchor that's immovable. And therefore, it's always going to retain value. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so when you pick a character like Spider-Man or Wolverine, you got an anchor that's always going to retain value. And then when you add the aspect of numbered and rarity, that's like buying waterfront property in the card world, in my opinion. And so obviously you can overspend, and I'd like to talk about that in a minute, based on rarity and how to think through that. But I do think printing plates being one of ones is like having waterfront property.
I love that. Damn. You made that sound so sexy. I don't know why, but I'm over here like, yes, Spidey.
He's like, yeah, I got a ton of waterfront
you can
property,
get it,
bro.
I got waterfront property. I just up my ears on waterfront property. This is great.
Hey, and the other plus about waterfront property, right? Sketch card, like only certain people can afford it. So that's good news for you in the future.
That's good news for you. Oh man, that's funny. That's
Spidey, what's top of mind for you?
Well, so the first thing is I'm still thinking through grading. I know it's on a lot of people's minds, but deciding where I want to send cards. And
I got something to tell you on that. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and with that, thinking through PSA's current situation, which is still a backlog, and still expensive to send even an individual card, and then thinking through BGS, Beckett. They're actually more expensive right now for an individual card. And, is that where I want to, encapsulate some of my, higher end Marvel cards? Or, and this is really the big one, do I want to wait on CGC and the possibility that, that they would actually, allow Marvel trading cards to be graded by CGC? So I reached out to them this week. I gave them a call, and the only way I could get through was at their customer service helpline. And she was a good soldier. She wouldn't, tell me anything she wasn't supposed to tell me. And she was like, even we don't know, but obviously it makes sense because you got the comic book world and the trading card world, come together, and they, they grade both of those. Because right now, if you don't know, as a viewer, CGC does grade Magic the Gathering and Pokemon cards. But they do not allow grading for Marvel trading cards. It's still mind-blowing to me that that's not the case. And they've been grading Magic the Gathering for some time. Pokemon, I think, is newer, maybe as of last year. Can't remember. But I can see why they held off during kind of this boom of grading, because they don't want to get overran. But definitely think that will happen in the future. The question is, how far into the future, and do I want to wait? So that's what I'm thinking about in terms of grading. And then the other was just Sketchcard made us aware this week of a rather large sale for a raw card, and a new raw card at that, from the X-Men Metal set that was like $5,000. And I don't begrudge anyone spending any amount of money that they want to spend on the card. That is each individual's prerogative. But there is a part of me that says, hey, I just want to make sure that the average person looking at that sale doesn't allow it to justify a poor purchase if they're actually thinking about value and investing and so forth. And you guys know what sale I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Angel periodic.
What was that numbered out of?
3.
Yeah, 3.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, look, guys, we're talking about a low number. But here's how I'm thinking about it, right? So first of all, it was an eBay sale. The guy had it listed at $15,000. He took a best offer at $5,000. Okay, which in the Marvel trading card world, that's a lot of money. Like that's moving into Grail territory, especially for a raw card. But here's what I'm really struggling with. You heard me say periodic. There's never been a periodic chase insert before. So we're in unknown territory in terms of how the community is going to really perceive these cards and chase after them. Maybe they're the next PMG. I don't know. That's not for me to decide. I know it's not. But
I'm so sorry I'm saying that. My face, I'm just like the worst person ever. I love everything you're saying. I'm just like garbage. I don't know why I'm so judgy. Don't listen to me, Spidey. Go.
Yeah, I know it's not. But again, the problem is we don't know what that future is going to look like, right? And when you start to think about how to process, what should I pay for a card, that's kind of had me thinking about how could we as collectors start to really create an analytical approach to that's not super complicated or, overthinking. So I'd like to maybe offer that to you guys.
I love that.
So
Sketch cards, come on.
Yeah.
You want me to go next?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your face is
I'm so sorry. As you said everything brilliantly. I'm making the face. I'm just like all these angry faces because I'm ridiculous. So here's what he put out a video kind of putting out there that he had bought it and what his thinking behind was, and we saw it. Super nice guy, great content, super awesome. I'm glad he got it. I think that's awesome, and I really do. I actually am a huge fan of the periodics. I think the biggest issue I have with the sale, it's a legit sale. So I mean, and honestly, Elusive has to remind me of this all the time, but the future is unknown with Marvel cards, and those numbers are not crazy ridiculous when compared to other card hobbies and other card properties. Like, it's not a crazy number. I guess if I'm looking at that number at a raw 5, and it is a periodic, so there's no lineage, which is what Spidey said, right? Mm-hmm. You have something like X Centuries that had that insert set where they had a various hard numbered, like each character had a different hard number based on what number it was in the card set. So card number 20 out of 100 card set would have a variant where there's only 20 of that card in a different color, right? So periodics is something kind of similar in the sense that every character is hard numbered out of the atomic number that they are being placed on. So there's no 1 of 1 because they didn't do the hydrogen, right? Is that correct? Right. Yeah. So I think so. So for Angel was the 2 out of 3 that sold for 5. So the seller wanted 10,000, and already 10,000, 15,000, whatever it was. Already I'm like, hot garbage, right? That number is dumb. So why am I saying that? Why am I being so cruel? And I'm not price bashing as much as it sounds like I'm price bashing. So let's put it in perspective, right? Red Spectrum, Spider-Man,
That's where I was going.
MM18, Red Spectrum Spider-Man sold for 3.5. That's a 1 of 1.
Correct. Of a better character, top 3.
Of a much better character. Angel is at least top 20, top 30.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him in that. I wouldn't put him
Even
I would
lower.
agree, like-
Even lower. I was being nice to Angel because I like Archangel. I was giving him some slack. I was like,
It's
you
an
know
We're
Angel
talking about
fan
Angel,
switching off
we're talking
right
about
now.
Angel, not Archangel.
not right. It's not even the cool Angel. It's the Angel, right? So it's like OG blue, yellow suit Angel, which is cool. Original X-Men, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So you have that Spider-Man that's sold at 3.5 MM18, right? And then you have this card listed for 10 to 15K. A lot of things that are happening right now with people breaking Marvel, and I'll pass on after this, is that they're getting cards that are numbered low and they're putting them at high prices because they don't know how to price them. And that's literally what's happening. Even sketch cards. You have sketch cards that are being listed on eBay that are from artists that are not rare artists, established artists, comic book artists. And I'm going to be honest about it. You know, they're not artists that are, they don't have a reputation to their name, right? Not that they're bad artists. They just don't have the clout. And they're pricing them at 10K and just letting them sit on eBay and being like, oh, why not? And I think I have a real issue with people doing that because it's not a place that they're not listing cards from a place of knowledge. They're listing cards out of a place of confusing people and pushing people to even consider or contemplate a number that it should be nowhere near that number.
Right.
Yeah, I think you hit a lot of the main points. A lot of another thing I would say is with collectibles, especially with Marvel at this point, being early on, we're dealing with a lot of incomplete information, right? So we're just making our best guesses towards that, but we could establish baselines, right? Like you just mentioned, that Spider-Man 1 of 1 is a baseline. Now that should be a measuring stick for when you're trying to purchase a card. Yeah, there's other things that go into it, but I would say that would be the primary factor. Another tip that I have, I got this question. I just want to answer it quick. We could all jump on it, but it comes to like, what price should I pay as a difference or a multiplier between a 9 and a 10? In sports, this is already pretty default. They already have multipliers, right? But for us, we don't have that. So I'd say the biggest tip I could give any Marvel person that's looking to jump from a 9 to a 10 is go into the pop report and look at the difference between 9s and 10s graded, because this is not a generic rule of thumb that applies to every single set. I'll give you a good example, right? Obviously, the 1992 Battle Spectra cards. Look at how many 9s there is versus how many 10s. So if there's 3 to 1, that's a good multiplier for you. I wouldn't pay more than 3 times what the 9 costs for the 10, etc. In other sets like Marvel Metal, it's only a 2 to 1. Those cards are actually not that hard to grade, So if you have half of the 9s on the pop, then I would only pay double for the 10. Just to give it some generic examples of that. Those are the things that people need to look into. Again, our job when we're collecting any of this as collectors is try to, put the puzzle together. Again, we're dealing with incomplete information, and our job is to get as much information as we can and make an educated guess based on that.
Right. And I think there's a difference between, hey, I'm chasing a card and there's only one available and I have the money. And then there's like, hey, part of this is value for me. Part of this is, as silly as it may sound to some people, there is an investment aspect of it, meaning that, I don't want to overpay today what I can't sell tomorrow, right? Kind of being a good steward, so to speak, with your money. And I think, like for me, when I'm thinking through that, and you guys have actually really spoken really well to it, is I'm trying to create a comparable, database, so to speak, where if you have one sale, that could be an anomaly, right? It can be, just a one-off. Some guy got lucky selling it. Some guy was happy he bought it. Whatever. Great. That's an anomaly. 2 might be a trend when we're talking about value. So you have 2 sales, and let's say they're similar in the amount that they sold for. Now we're trending here, but we may still not be at value yet. But if you have 3 like cards that sell in a similar period of time, that sell for a similar amount, now you're talking about value. And to me, that's what you want to look for. And part of figuring that out is looking at it, Is it numbered? Who's the character? How long has this set been out? Is it like with PMG, that has such a rich history beyond Marvel that brings collectors in. I mean, there are people that collect Marvel PMGs, but don't collect anything else Marvel just because it's PMG.
Seen that a lot.
So you kind of have to figure out, what am I actually competing and comparing here? And then there's a little bit element of time too, right? Because a sale 2 years ago isn't the same as it is today, we'll call it post January of Marvel, right? And so I think it's really important that people take just a few moments to try to plug that into their brain and do the research, ask around to see, what is a fair price. And let me say this, and I'll stop. But price and value are not the same thing. Price is a fact. You can ask whatever you want. Like, who cares? That becomes a fact. But value is an opinion, and you need to take the time to develop your own opinion with some form of an intelligent analysis. And it doesn't have to be too complicated to do that.
I got something crazy. So perfect example of this happening, right? So this might be really helpful for everyone. It's from my personal experience. So, straight from my mouth. I wanted a Psylocke periodic insert. She is out of 83, numbered out of 83, hard numbered, very pretty card, very nice card. Psylocke, I would consider a pretty high-end female character period that people tend to go for. I think Psylocke's on the top end of that.
To speak especially to that, she's more popular in the Marvel trading card world than the actual comic book world. It's unique.
That's what I think too. That's been my vibe. Yeah. See, that's been my vibe too. So this is what happened. I wanted that card for a particular thing I'm shooting for. And I'm like, okay, it's still too early to be bidding on this card. There are 2 or 3 of them on eBay for buy it now at $200. There's one at $300 in the UK. Not pointing fingers at you, Gingy. Right? So there's a couple of them.
Definitely not me.
Hey, that euro dollar.
Oh, they're all just crazy prices now. But so there were 2 or 3 of them, Psylocke, around that price range. And I was like, this is too high. It's out of 83. There's no way it's ever going to be $200. This is not a price that makes sense for me. It doesn't. I don't think the value will hold. There's no value holding in the card number out of 83 for 200, no matter how popular the character are. I just think that's a little high. So anyway, I got into to an issue. One came up and it was up for bidding. I got desperate because I really wanted one and I wasn't thinking. I was like, you know what? I'll bid on it. You know what? I'll go for it. I put 165 and I was like, this is still too high. I think this is a $110, $85 card in terms of being consistently at that price. And I'm basing that on seeing prices of the X Sentry from Spider-Man Fleer Ultra 2017 on ComC and where some of those hard numbers now on popular characters. I'm like, well, they're going to end up here. So I went for it like an idiot, won it at 157, right? I overpaid by 40, 30 bucks for sure, but whatever. It was the specific number I wanted. Because the other 2 I have are 20 something. And I was like, well, this is 22. It fits with my blue team lineup for my X-Men. It'll be 24 between Gamma to Cyclops. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Whatever. I'm happy with it. I'll swallow this. Right. Plus, it was in great condition. And I had noticed on some of the periodics, the corners have looked really soft. Some of them are super clean. But when you have really bright pops of color like that, those corners being slightly touched with a little bit of white really breaks down the card in my eye. And that's being over particularly. You do not have to be like that, listeners. Stay away from this, in fact. Get away from this logic. Anyway, the issue, and then, of course, what happened yesterday? One got posted up. It was for bidding. It was going to end. I saw it. It was hanging around $60, $65. And I was like, I freaking knew it. I knew this would happen. It had a soft corner. Didn't look great. It was the Omega, 83 out of 83 or 84 out of 84. I forget. And I looked at it and I was like, you know what? If I win this card at $80 or $100, I can sell it, make back what I lost on the other bid, and I'll have 2, and I'll double check the condition when it gets here. Put it at 100. Someone beat me at 110. So already within a week's time, I lost value on that, the price on that card down 40, 30 bucks, which I knew would happen. And that is part of kind of like what happens when things sell too close to a brand new set, too close to release.
Mhm.
Everything is so inflated.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah, and trusting your gut too. You missed it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't trust your gut. Yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
one.
That's a big one.
So I look at this from a slightly different perspective. Actually, it's similar to you, Sketchcard. But firstly, I see like Cherry Collectables. You probably all know them quite well, right? Like huge in the hobby, like massively like well known in the sports card world in Australia, America. So I would say the first thing is fantastic for Marvel cards in general. Like huge. Like
Exposure wise, for
one
sure.
little Instagram post, there was like 18, 20K likes.
You're talking
on that
about the
post
guy
alone.
who purchased the Angel. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right. So yeah, really popular guy, really popular company, big website, big cards. They've got, that guy collects a lot of I can't remember his name. Grayson, is it? I think it's Grayson Allen, something like that. The Cherry Collectables guy. I think it's Grayson. But yeah, he collects a lot of 2016 gems. Like he has a serious collection. Go back and have a look at some of his old videos. But yeah, he shows a serious collection. Like he whacks out his Pelican case like you and starts showing, look at my cards.
I like him already.
Yeah. And then the other thing I think, so yeah, fantastic for Marvel cards in general. I think hyped 100%. Like, and I look at this in a similar way to I'm going to use sports cards as an example that I know of. So there was a Slam insert set, and I can't remember what year it's from. I think it's recently, maybe 2021. But basically, there were raw cards of big players selling for around $80, $70, sometimes more, depending on the basketball player. So you look at that. I can't remember when they came out. So if you're wanting dates, I can't give you that. But basically, let's just say January, there were $80, $100 for these Slam insert cards. You now look at the prices of those now, you're talking $20, $10.
Yeah.
That's where I think I'm not saying all, like I understand why the Cherry guy did what he did, like that's kind of scarcity and the set he's probably going for. But yeah, there are other cards that I'm seeing, I'm like, no way, man.
I think if you're trying to hit it early to have that big return late, you got to stick with some tried and true aspects.
Yes.
Yes, that card is a low count. It's out of 3. He has that going for him, right? But I don't know how much else that card has going for him.
Yeah. I think some of it was.
We talked about it. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I was just gonna say. Yeah, I think FOMO hit him too. Fear of missing out. I really think it was 1 out of 3. He was like, "Let me get it now before I can't, lock down one of the other 2." Or you know what I mean? I think that's. But again, if it was a 1 of 1, it would have been more justified. Again, but he got the card now, and as long as he's happy. But again, all we're bringing this up for anybody listening is just to make sure you guys don't go try to buy the other 2 for $5,000 thinking that's what they're worth because he paid that.
Look, honestly, and I can say it. I have nothing against this guy. I saw his Instagram. I even messaged him and said he's super awesome, super nice. He got back to me. Super nice guy. I like we're all saying here. The real big reason we bring it up is because this is for your education, right? This is for you to know. One of the things he said in his video is that he really loved the fact that nobody could make that set, right?
Yeah.
Unless they had one of those cards. And that logic is very sound, but the gamble, and which is on my end, remember I told all of you, I was like, man, I kind of want that periodic set. And I'll be honest, I was willing to drop $12.50 on that Angel periodic. I highly considered it. Look, Elusive's like, are you serious? What's wrong with you, bro? I considered it. I considered it for multiple reasons. One, I thought this is such a niche kind of niche. What happened? This is kind of a unique set to get. And if this is the highest priced card, and that's what my mind was like $8.50, $12.50. I was like, if this is the highest priced, The other ones are going to be much lower because no one's going to want to go for this stuff. And this set realistically at the end of the day could go really cheap if I keep a good eye on it. This is what happens when there's no surfers in the mix. I get all frantic and I don't think straight. And I didn't do it. I offered the guy $650 because I'm a horrible person. And he was like, no, sorry, man. I already got an offer for $4K. And it must have been Cherry, and Cherry must have gone for the $5K. I don't think it was two people.
Yeah.
But the thing that Cherry said, that
I didn't mention the 4K because I don't know if it was two people.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I know what a sketch card center say. I don't think two people were dumb enough to pay over for.
I don't. You know, it's funny. I don't even think it's dumb. I think it makes a lot of sense for him for what he understands is the set. And here's the tricky thing, right? He actually might be really right in what he did, and it actually might be a lot smarter than me because now, as I'm picturing this, and I've been thinking about this quite a bit. Look how many followers he has.
Correct.
Look at the crazy stuff. And he has such a huge group of people behind him that look at what he does as a way to understand how to collect. And I think what he thought is like, well, 5K is a penny in a bucket compared to what I'm paying for all the sports grails that I'm getting. This is a 3 of 3. I know this is a popular insert set in a set where all the cards are really bad quality control and are pretty cheap looking in terms of how they're cut and printed. And in fact, I haven't heard one person say the periodics are not cool. And when they were on the sell sheet and no one saw one in hand, everybody was like, that's so stupid. What are they doing with the periodic elements? Which makes sense because I was one of those idiots too at one point. And then you get them in hand and all of us, right, has seen these in some shape or form. We're like, oh, damn, that feels like a hit. That feels like an actual cool insert card. And from his perspective, he must have looked at it and said, you know what? I make this hit now. Yeah, the other two might not sell this high. I don't need to sell mine. And you know what? Someone else might go for the set and they might come all the way back around, back to me when they can't find the other two cards because sometimes these cards never show up. We'll see one on EPAC, I guarantee it. But sometimes these cards never show up. And he will be the guy holding this card. And I guarantee you his price on that card is 8 and up.
Yeah. The first thing you ever taught me, Norin, Sketchcardhive even, sorry, is something you said, which was corner the market. And like I always think about that now. So that's probably thank you, by the way.
Get the out of here.
That's exactly it. That is exactly it.
Hey, yeah, speaking of corner in the market, like I've actually been looking. There's 2018 Flare Ultra Spider-Man Jambalaya. There's like 5 or 6 hobgoblins on ComC for $40 and below.
Yep.
I've been seriously thinking about buying all of them.
Do it.
And I actually have had them in my cart. And honestly, if ComC didn't make you load money onto the site before you can make offers, I probably would do it because I would rather make offers and do it. But I don't like putting money on ComC because then you got to spend it. You know, you can't get it back.
It's the tax it too. Every time you put money on there, they tax the money you put on. No, it's a vicious cycle.
So I have. That's why I haven't done it. But I was like, there's 30 hobgoblins, way underrated. Way underrated.
Yeah. Why?
In the MCU.
Why?
Anyway, so yeah.
No.
Yeah. One thing I just wanted to say, Sketch Card, because me and you have had private conversations about this all the time, and I think just for anybody listening, for both sides, right? I think that we've come to a place in collecting where it's actually no longer just collecting. You know what I mean? And I think that's what a lot of, honestly, old collectors and just hardcore true collectors have a hard time swallowing that pill of knowing that it's now also a business, you know? And unfortunately, it rubs people the wrong way because they see it as greed, but that's capitalism at its finest. That's all it really is. Like people, you know, that's in real estate. That's with everything. You know, we know a lot of people that have Instagrams, and you could tell whether they're true collectors or not based on what they're collecting. And when you see PMG on every photo, I mean, again, it's going to rub people the wrong way because obviously what that's shouting out is I'm only here, especially when, look, there's one thing to create a set and you want to go after all the PMG reds or the blues or whatever, right? But it's also just you know, when they're going after every variation, they're going for the golds, they're going for everything. that lets you know that their true intent is to dump that, 3 to 5 years down the road. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with it because I understand what the market is now. But as far as people that only are here for the artwork, for collecting, that hurts them, that bothers them. I see that. I see some. You can't even mention of some people. Hey man, I got a doubles of this. Why? Why are you holding a double? Now imagine when someone's going to buy 10 of something or 30 of something. I'm going to tell you guys a quick story real quick. So, you guys know that I started as a Batmobile collector, and there's a very popular Batmobile that was only sold at the shortly lived Warner Brothers store in 1999 through 2001, right? It's from the 1989 Michael Keaton Batmobile. And obviously retailed for $5 when it came out, right? It was in a blister pack. And the reason people went after it versus the Ertl version is the Ertl version had that little bat yellow logo that just stuck out a lot. And this one was just a plain black look, right? So anyway, as another collector told me, hey man, if you're starting out and you saw that I have little to no money, try to buy 2 of those, hold one and sell it down the road. What is common practice nowadays. So, I started doing that, and at Frankincense, I met another collector who invited me over to his warehouse. I won't name his name because he's one of the bigger vendors there. And he showed me what he had. And that changed my perspective after that on collecting. I no longer personally try to corner the market on anything. I might have a double of a piece, and sometimes triple. And look, with grading, it's a different story. You could hold, 3 9s and a 10 or something like that. But as far as like raw, I try to only hold 2 or 3. But I went to this guy's warehouse and I thought I was doing something. This guy had everything I was looking for in like 20 to 30 of each card. And I'm like, and I was like, wow, this is where everything's at. He had his formula down. He never posted one up for sale or where they have that option of quantity and you can see how many he has. Never did that. He would post one at a time, wait 6 months, post it again. I mean, this guy was super into it.
Rarity.
Yeah. So again, exactly. So since then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to collect for myself and enjoy it. Just because of that, because it's tough. Sometimes you think you're doing something and then next thing you know, you meet the people that are really doing it, Yep.
That happened to me 2 years ago with Marvel cards. That is the most heartbreak kick to the nuts ever. Yeah. That is a rough moment because and remember what I told you guys about sketch cards? I was like, once you think you've seen a really nice sketch card, you haven't seen anything. Yeah. And I mean that not from like a rude way.
Today of Spider-Man, Venom, and Wolverine on oh my gosh, that thing
beautiful,
unbelievably gorgeous. Much better than hardly anything else I've seen.
It's rough, man. There are and that's a great story, Elusive, because and I'm here to tell you right now. I can't name names because I promised, but I will say this: 110% people are doing that with 2013 PMGs. Mm-hmm. They are doing that with red spectrums from MM16, and they are doing that with the grails of Marvel cards from the 90s that you guys, including me, just don't understand yet how difficult they are to find. But here's the thing that upsets me about that whole process. The problem is that when you keep that stuff a secret for so long and the hobby's small like our Marvel hobby is, people don't even know what you're holding. It's like having the world's greatest secret and everybody's like, that guy has a secret? It doesn't make any sense. Like that you lose all knowledge, all education, which is what this is, which is what all of us have been doing and kind of like trying to come to the forefront with these episodes and our own channels and our own content is as we are all catching up. We're also like, hold up, people have to know what this stuff is, because if we don't know what this is, there's no longevity in the hobby. The hobby just becomes so insular and closed off that it's just a few people trading back and forth. And I honestly think before the boom, that's what was happening. Things were just being traded back and forth. People were having to deal with people who have bad personalities, and things were being held hostage over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that too that I just want to circle back real quick. You mentioned sketch cards. even earlier, and you were discussing the different pricing, depending on the artist, their notoriety, and all that stuff. Personally, my take on sketch cards is I only own about a dozen of them, and I don't really care who the artist is. I mean, I know that there's top artists like FX, NAR is a huge one, right? And I do see Aviles is another guy, right? And I do see the difference, but I judge the artwork. If someone's good, I don't care if they have 100 followers or 10 million followers. They're good, and I like their art. But there is obviously, you see the sketch cards where the guy didn't even, he didn't even try, and most people don't look into that. I would say, go to Sketchcardhive's videos, and he mentions what these artists get paid and how they get treated. And again, people don't know that backstory. They don't know behind the scenes. All they know is, why does this sketch card look like something my 5-year-old drew? Right?
Yeah.
And again, that's just the truth. So guess what? Then just buy the ones you like.
Yeah.
But again, I wouldn't put, personally, again, this is just me, I don't put so much weight onto who drew it as much as, do I like that sketch card? Do I want to have it? Is it a must-have for me? Am I going to keep it? Am I going to enjoy it? Another big tell, I was able to pick up on, you guys know I'm extremely happy. If you guys didn't know already, I'm going to repeat it again. I'm super happy for my double impact surfer card, right? Dude, I almost slept with my card because I enjoy that card. I mean, you guys think I'm messing around. Yeah, it's right here, man. It's right here. I love the artwork. You know what I mean? And that's a big tell when you think, I would say for anybody new to collecting, again, that's how you know when you really make the right choice. If you really enjoy it and go back and look at that artwork and you're just like, wow, man, I'm really happy I pulled the trigger. I'm happy I locked it down now. And again, we're talking about locking down, right? We're doing it because we know that where the prices are going to go. So if you want the artwork and you enjoy it, buy now. Now's the time to do it. But again, if you pick up on something and you don't really even look at it after that, that's going to be a clue on whether you should have spent whatever you spent on that one item.
I edit my collection every 6 months based on that alone. All seriousness.
That is really, yeah.
I really do. I go through my collection every 6 months. I did this with sketch cards, like my surfer sketch cards. I only have 21, 22 Silver Surfer sketch cards.
Yeah.
And I've seen, oh wow, this is fun. I've never told you guys this. I've seen over 450 Silver Surfer sketch cards.
Just the one Matt Fuller showed was super nice with the sparkly or that little. Yeah, I mean, that guy's next level. You know what I mean?
Crazy. Just good stuff, man. No, it's yeah. And I agree. I think with sketch cards, unless you know artists, don't try to play the sketch card game. It is a hurtful one. That is a mean game, and it's just not a fair playing field. That's why I don't play it. When I find cards, why I don't do it. That's why I only get the top shelf stuff, and I make sure I research the artist before I don't. It's weird, and this is sad, but I don't buy Silver Surfer sketch cards based on me just liking the Silver Surfer and how they did it. I rarely do.
Okay. That makes sense.
I rarely do. I rarely do because I know I've been burned so many times before that.
Yeah.
I know what I like that day can be overshadowed the moment I look in someone's private collection.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds, and you shouldn't go by this. You shouldn't go by that. I don't think that's fair for anybody to do that because I think that's a dark way of doing it. But yeah.
To be transparent, I own 0 sketch cards. And we talked about this, Norman, a few times. And don't get me wrong, I've looked at a lot of sketch cards. I was like, wow, that looks amazing. Wow, that looks amazing. But I simply don't know enough about, number one, the artist. Number two, like in terms of values, like how much should I be paying, things like that. I just cannot tell. It's subjective. It's 101 in most instances, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my personal preference. But I will. One day there'll be a time when I'll be like, I've got to get that. That's just amazing. But yeah.
And another
cards that I find interesting is I've had some conversations with like people who are not been involved in Marvel collecting and just like dipping their toe in, and they immediately think sketch cards 101s are like the most valuable, like immediately. And I get
because they hear 101.
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, I get why. It's just I was like, no.
In most cases, it's the box hit, right, Spidey? Most cases, it's how they advertise the box hit, not in Marvel Anime and Metal. Like that's changed for the whole future. Like sketch cards will only be now like 2 to 3 per case or 1 to 2 per case. So listeners know, and so you guys know, that's pretty much what they're looking at for sketch cards in the future. They're no longer going to be a one in the box type of thing. And I think that's going to increase prices for Marvel Premiere, which we should definitely do something special for when that kind of starts coming out. But yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I would also throw in, lastly, just on the whole sketch card thing, just because the artist is no one today doesn't mean they're going to be no one tomorrow.
And that's happened. That is 1,000% happened to a lot of people's sketch cards. You'd be really surprised to see how often that happens, for sure.
Was Peach Mocha one of those?
So Peach ended up being... So Peach was really popular before anime in certain circles. She was selling covers for 5-6K, being a modern Marvel artist, and they were selling. I've spoken to her and her manager. She's always sold her artwork. She's very shy, but she's very nice, and Yo's very cool. They're very nice people. But what ended up happening with Peach is that she did a couple of covers. People lost their mind over it. So it built her up, right? And then they were coming out with anime, trying to figure out who to go to, and they went to Peach. And then Peach was named one of the Stormbreakers for Marvel comic books. And that just means that she, within a company of like 7 or 10 artists, are the new leading artists that Marvel is putting forth as their like top tier artists to work on comic books.
She's a variant in herself now in the comic book world.
Exactly. See, that's awesome. I had no idea that was even a thing. That's sick. No, so she's like a huge deal, and then everything started getting. I think she even still has some original art on her website from Marvel Anime, from like lower level tier characters, which you guys, I mean, should definitely check out. But yeah, man, I mean, there's some really cool things going on there. But yeah, so yeah, I think she was just big in comic books, cards, and then kind of blew, got bigger and bigger.
Love it, man. Right. That has been another episode of Marvel Pack Fresh Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. Please do like, subscribe, all that good stuff down below, and we will see you in the next one.
Have a good one, guys.
Have a marvelous day.
Have a great weekend.